It's been a minute, hasn't it? Let me go to my stream manager. Well, what do you know? And I will edit my stream info. Hello. It has been a long time since I've streamed on this channel. So we are not editing photos from Far Rockaway tonight. We are editing, let's see, clearing my backlog of photo edits. And there we go. So I am streaming from my MacBook Pro, which is my primary computer. It's what I use for all of my photo processing and also my video processing when I make videos. Because I happen to like Apple's operating system better than Windows. Don't argue with me about that. Let me see. Okay, good. Now, I have only one monitor, so it may take me a minute to see your chat messages. I'm going to pull the chat up on my phone. And that way I can keep track whenever anyone pops in. If they have something to say, then I'll be able to answer them. Oh shoot, no, I can't do that actually, because I am logged into my other Twitch account, my everyday Twitch account on my phone. So I'm just gonna have to check my browser from time to time and see what's going on in my chat. Actually, let me see if I can pull my chat up in OBS. Just give me a second. Custom browser docs. No, that's not what I want. View. I know there is a way to pull up the chat in my OBS. Y'all, I am being harassed by my partner right now. I need protection. Help, help. Okay, I'm just gonna have to pop into my browser window from time to time and check the chat, answer your questions, all that good stuff. Let me let people know that I am live as well, since it has been a year and a day. Actually, I don't know how long it's been since I've streamed on this channel.
A year and a day.
I am, the Peanut Gallery has a lot to say this evening.
Peanut Gallery.
Uh-huh. I'm telling you, y'all, I need protection. Protection. Okay, I am clearing my backlog of unedited photos live on Twitch. Twitch.tv / Wanda the Lotus. God, you know what?
Door.
Huh? Why are you closing the door? Oh. Okay. Let me check. Yeah. see what I'm up to. Letting the Twitterverse know that I am live. Okay. That should do it. So, believe it or not, I am actually stretched out on the floor because it's comfortable. Alrighty, how about some music? Let me see, what can I find for music that will not run me into problems? Because copyright and all of that good stuff will come back to bite ya. Why won't that close? Okay, there we go. Okay, let me close. Let me. Oh, that's not close. Okay, I'm gonna force quit that. I already have an account. Log in here. Thank you very much. Mm, mm, mm. I'm going to attempt to log into the Pretzel app, which I did not think to do until right now, the second. But that's okay. This is live, not Memorex. And of course, Pretzel wants to install an update. Of course. Okay. So while Pretzel is doing that, and hopefully it will not slow down my stream to a crawl. Okay, how many of these do I have open? Wait, what do you mean updating OBS? No, we're not updating OBS right now. We will update OBS when I am done streaming. Thank you very much. Okay. It's bad enough Pretzel is updating itself right now. Anyhow, I am editing photos. These photos happen to be from February 15th of this year. I know that for a while I was not going out and making photos because pandemic. So I was smart and stayed inside instead of going out in the general public. Now I am thankfully fully vaccinated. I've had my booster shot. The COVID numbers are going down, so I feel more comfortable going out, even though they're starting to drop mask mandates, though masks are still required on public transportation. So on these photos of people on public transportation, you will see most everyone wearing a mask, and I am very grateful for that. The type of photography I primarily like to do is street photography. I call myself New York City's anti-paparazzi. That means I photograph people in New York City going about their average everyday life, riding the public transportation, walking up and down the street. My focus is outside of the very strongly curated and extremely elitist bubble of celebrity dumb. That you know, I am grateful for entertainers because as an artist myself, I can appreciate someone who has taken the time to hone their craft and create art and music and poetry and books and movies to entertain us. We've especially needed that these past couple of years. You know, a lot of us being stuck inside just out of just in an abundance of safety. But I also find celebrity culture can be very isolating. Um, and isolating in the sense that it's very easy, it can be very easy for the rest of us to get caught up in celebrity culture and feel like there is nothing wonderful about our own lives. So I take my camera when I go out on appointments or just when I feel like being outside of the house. I take my camera and I photograph just the everyday lives of people here in New York City. Serena, oh my goodness. Hello, girl. What you up to? I explained before that I am streaming from my MacBook Pro, and right now I don't have another monitor. So it may take me a minute to pop into the chat and see who is there. And I'm so glad that you stopped by. What are you up to today? How's your Saturday been? I've been relaxing all day and decided late at night to edit some photos. This photo I had really wanted to share, but I'm having a difficult time drawing out the details in the center of the photo the way I would like to. I think I would need to zoom in some. Let's see what happens if I crop and get a little bit closer, say to these people here on the right, on the left rather, crossing the street. I was also saying that I like taking photos of everyday life. It doesn't seem, when you compare it to celebrity culture, it doesn't seem all that interesting or amazing or whatever. But if you think about it, the majority of life is made up of everyday moments. So if we can appreciate the everyday moments, we'll probably be better able to appreciate the few and fleeting outstanding moments that come by. Now that helped a lot, cropping the photo, made it less noisy, and gave the viewer's eye something to focus on. Things are good, was restful today. Wonderful. Been able to slowly rest more with team, getting more proficient at their tasks. That is wonderful. Was gonna turn in soon, but with you on, I will stay up for Saturday Night Live. Oh my goodness. I will not be held responsible for you not getting enough rest, ma'am. I can relate. People tell me that my pics don't look like or feel like Trinidad, and I'm like, well, that's because your eyes haven't been open. Yeah, people are used to probably seeing pictures of resorts, pictures of carnival, pictures of the beaches, the fancy hotels. They're not used to normal everyday life. And it's the same with New York City. When people think of interesting quote unquote photos of New York City, they think of the World Trade Center, probably the Oculus train station, because um, that is a pretty interesting structure down there by Ground Zero, where the PATH trains into New Jersey run in and out of. So they think of that. They don't think of what the rest of us see and live with on a daily basis. And you can't blame them. I mean, we all form our expectations based on what we see in media, right? That's what the media is for, to show us pictures. But one of the rules of artists is to show people things that they might not have seen before, views that they might not have been aware exist. And one of the many hats that you wear, Serena, is of an artist, and you show Trinidad in an artistic way, but also the real Trinidad, not the whitewashed and polished and tourist ready Trinidad. These are locals, though. Oh, yeah, yeah, they disparage their surroundings regularly, but adore foreignscapes. Yet New York City, New Yorkers can. There are some New Yorkers who are the same way. There are plenty of New Yorkers who are the same way. As I walk around with my camera, oh, I like this a lot better now. Yes. So as I walk around with my camera, most people are not looking around at their environment the way I am. They're looking at their phones, they're looking at their companions, talking, they're not really looking at the overall environment like this, for instance. I walk down this block at least twice a month because it's near where I have an appointment. And most people just walk it. They don't look at it really. According to what I see of people as I'm walking down this block. And it would be very easy for me to get into that habit too. But I challenge myself to really look at it each time and appreciate it. Because there's always something different to see. But you have to look for it because otherwise you just take a quick glance, and as far as you can tell, oh, same old, same old. There's nothing interesting. Well, even if it is the same, isn't it beautiful? Stop and admire the beauty, even if it's the same beauty. And yeah, a change of scenery is good, but if this is the scenery that I have in front of me right now, why not just enjoy that? And then when I'm somewhere else, then I'll enjoy wherever I happen to be. You posted that. I liked it. These photos I haven't posted yet. I like to look around too, especially light. All we have is now. Yes, all of that is true. All of that is very true. It's something that I've had to work on remembering because I have this habit of always looking to the future or at the past to find something else. I guess to disassociate with whatever the present is. And that was a useful skill for a lot of my life. There was a lot of my life where I did have to dissociate in order to keep my sanity, making it through the environments that I was in, the circles that I found myself moving in, or that I was forced to move in some cases. But I'm not in that situation now, so there's no need for me to constantly disassociate from my current environment. So I'm relearning how to be present. I like this one too. I think I will keep this one color. I go back and forth sometimes about whether to make a photo color or black and white. So in general, I'll make my fine art photos black and white, and I'll keep photos that I'm going to share on my personal accounts color. There are exceptions, but most of the time, that's the rule. In this case, I think I'm going to share this on my personal account, not on my professional account, so I'm going to keep it color. Let's see what else. Oh, yes, this is definitely going on my personal account. So this is one of those, look at all of the textures in the rock. This is what I call a texture study. Sometimes I like to stop and just admire the textures that I see in things. And in this case, I wanted the texture of the rock in the foreground, but I didn't want to completely blur out the background. I also didn't want the background to be as sharp as the foreground. So I think I set my aperture to 5.6 as though I was photographing someone's face, and that nicely blurs out the background but keeps the foreground nice and sharp. And this is definitely one of those that will be going on my personal account. I want to deepen the shadows just a bit. Yeah. Brighten up the highlights, kind of. I just slid the contrast in order to do that. And this one, so I'm keywording my photos as I go along because it makes it easier for me to find them later. I think I have a rock keyword. Let me see. I tend to be very organized in my life in general, not just when it comes to photography. So it made sense that my organization followed me into my photography when I started learning how to organize my photos. Would that be under nature? Oh, I don't have a rock keyword. I'm surprised by that. Okay, I'll just put it under nature for now. And then at some point in time, I'll probably go through a bunch of my photos and add that keyword because I like taking photos of rocks just because there's so much texture. I mixed it up with your February 9th Bronx Park pic. Yeah, yeah, these are from February 15th. And, like I said, I walk down that block on a regular basis. So there are a lot of photos of that block. I like to photograph it at different points during the seasons too. So that block looks pretty different in the spring and summer, especially the summer where all the leaves are on. And then in autumn, if I can catch the peak colors as the leaves are changing, it looks very different then too. This one is definitely going on I think this one is going on my Patreon. So for those of you who don't know, I do have a Patreon account for my photography. And I'll put the link in the chat. And we call ourselves Team LLFA for Lotus Land Fine Art. We are all team members in appreciating the beauty of everyday life in New York City, mostly in New York City. When I travel elsewhere, then I do make similar photos in those places as well. So if you are interested, we would be happy to have you join Team LLFA. So the memberships start at $5 a month. That's less than $1 a week, USD. And if you don't want to become a member, you can follow. So what I've started doing is making public posts. I think it's once a week, but Team LLFA members get posts 3 times a week, and each month they get a postcard featuring one of my photos. And it's been a lot of fun to foster that team. I get some really encouraging comments from people as they enjoy my photography. Look at that big old dog. I think you look like a Rottweiler. That's a good girl or boy. Yes. So let me add my keywords. I have made the mistake of not adding keywords to my photos, and let me tell you, it makes a huge difference. Because months later, maybe even years later, I'll remember a photo that I made, and I will have no idea what year it was or month. Of course, not the day, unless it was a a very momentous occasion, and I will literally have to go through thousands of photos just to find that one. And without keywords, that is a pain. I mean, even with keywords, it can be a pain because if I'm doing street photography like this one, I did use the street photography tag on it. Wonderful, but I have tens of thousands of photos in the street photography under the street photography keyword. But at least I'm narrowing it down to that tens of thousands instead of what it could be. Let me see how many photos are in this library. Will it tell me? I need to remember where I am. February 15th, 2022. Okay, so if I go to this library, how many photos are in this library? You're not going to tell me, are you? Okay. But yeah, lots and lots of photos. So the bottom line is keyword your photos as much as possible. Okay, so I've got the ones that I want to go to my Patreon account. So these three I'm going to share with Team LLFA. So I'll export those to my Patreon post folder. These two I will share to my Instagram. So I will export those to that folder. And these three are going to my personal Instagram, blog Instagram feed. And now I have to check them to make sure that the quality actually came out right, because sometimes when Aftershot Pro exports a photo, it exports with glitches. And see, like with this one, let me blow this up so you can see. Because software is software and software glitches sometimes. So you see these squares here? That's not part of the photo. Those are software errors. So I can go back. I have to go back into Aftershot Pro and export that photo. It should overwrite the old one with the glitches. Now sometimes I have to do this 2 or 3 times. It does get annoying. Uh-oh, it looks like it's stuck. Hang on. Let's go back to this photo. From time to time, there we go. From time to time, Aftershot Pro will get stuck while it's exporting a photo. And I found that if I go to the photo and open up some of the editing options, then Aftershot will export it, finish the export. But then usually it means that there are errors, just like this one exported again with errors. So let's try that one more time. And it may be because I am streaming right now. OBS is very CPU intensive. So it might not have the processing power to correct things as thoroughly. There we go. Okay. Now that got rid of the glitches there. Now I need to go back and check the ones for my blog, but let me finish checking the ones for Patreon. That came out okay. These I exported earlier, and I already knew that they were all right. Okay, so now if I go to my blog photos, I'll need to check these for glitches. I can already see this one has a glitch down there in the bottom, because these were the photos that Aftershock got stuck on. while it was exporting. So let's re-export that. And this one is fine. That one is fine. And those were from, I exported them a different day. Oh, you're getting stuck on this one again, huh? You really don't like this photo for some reason. Why is that? Hmm? What did this photo ever do to you to deserve this disrespect? How much percent is OBS using on your side? You mean CPU percent? I can open up my task manager and find out. But let me check this photo first. Okay, this time it came out correct. Okay, so those were all the photos for those days. Let me see. Let me see. Activity monitor. Okay. We are going to, what is this? Oh, this is energy. No, I want to look at CPU. And let's go by percent CPU. OBS is using 249.7% of my CPU. And that's because Macs have an integrated video. So they don't have a dedicated graphics card, they have an integrated graphics chipset. Oh, OBS will tell you, not the activity monitor? Okay, well, the activity monitor says that OBS is eating up my CPU. Okay, OBS says 30, I like 35% CPU. But when you have something like a photo editing software that is exporting images, it probably has something to do with graphics processing. And OBS streaming video is also doing graphics processing, and all of that is happening on this integrated graphics chipset since MacBooks do not have dedicated graphics cards. So I fully expect errors when I export video, export photos. Okay, did I edit these already? I don't think I did. Oh no, I did some of them. Not this one. And I thought this was one that I wanted to edit. Let's see. Yeah, this is one I definitely wanted to edit. I thought I had though. Maybe I just didn't. Maybe I just didn't label it. Let me look in my pictures, because that's one that I had wanted to share with Team LLFA. Huh. I'm pretty sure I did. I'll go back and look at that one again. Okay, so those are all the most recent street photography photos. However, there were others. And I'm not sure where, so let me go to photo info. You know, I don't think I edited all of my photos when I took a walk through Central Park with a friend last November. So I've got a whole bunch of fall foliage shots that have not yet seen the light of day. You know, life happens. Okay, these are March. I did these February. I think I did all of the February. Oh, look, there's me. I think I did all of my February ones. Oh, these are from the Met Cloisters. Oh, no, I didn't finish all of my February ones because I didn't finish editing the ones from the Cloisters. Oh my gosh. Okay, what date is this? This one I know I edited because I saw that in one of my file photos. Oh, wait, I've got it on here. February 20th. Okay. The day before my birthday. Yeah, I did most of them, but not all of them. So my birthday was February 21st, and the day before, I went to the Met Cloisters, which is one of my favorite museums here in New York City. I went there with a friend who, when she found out that it was going to be my birthday, she hit me up and said, "So, what are we doing for your birthday?" And I had already decided I wanted to spend my birthday by myself. My partner was going to be at work, so I would have the day to myself. I didn't know if I wanted to go out or stay in, but I did know I wanted the day just for me. So I decided to hang out with her the day before, and I asked her, "Well, do you want to go to the Met Cloisters?" And she had never been. So she invited another friend who also loved the Met Cloisters, and we spent a couple hours walking around and enjoying the art and enjoying each other's company. Okay, let me check my chat. We can get that to 25%. I normally stream while running video AFK in the background and also saving to a third drive concurrently. Yeah, I can do that easily on my Windows laptop because it's a gaming laptop and it has a dedicated graphics card. So I don't run into the same kind of video processing issues that I have on my MacBook Pro. Now, I cannot say that I know the names of the various pieces of artwork, but I know that I like them very much. So before I get started on this, I'm going to take a quick break, um, stretch, get myself something to drink real quick, and then I will come back and we can go through my photos from the Met Cloisters. All right, so if you need to as well, stretch, take a bathroom break, get something to drink, whatever, whatever. And I'll see you back here in a few minutes. Okay, I am back. I hope you enjoyed that slideshow. Let's see, let's see. There we go. Okay, now it is time to look at my photos. What year is your pro? I believe it is it 2014? It's old because I bought it refurbished. I didn't buy it brand new. Let me look at about this Mac. Just real quick. Yeah, this is a Retina 15-inch mid 2014. So a newer model would be able to handle these things better. But this one is 8 years old. Ideally, what I'd like to do is replace it with an iMac, and that will probably make editing photos a religious experience. iMacs can also be built out with dedicated graphics cards. So I would buy one with a dedicated graphics card just so that I would get more of the benefits video processing and image processing wise. So, but it's there are two big purchases that I want to make within the next couple of years. One is an iMac to replace this MacBook Pro. The other one is a new violin because my current violin, my teacher has determined that I've outgrown the capabilities of the instrument. So it's time for me to upgrade. So that's going to be around the $2,500 range, which is around the range of the cost of a MacBook Pro, an iMac or a MacBook Pro too, but the kind of iMac that I want as well. So, if anyone wants to toss $2,500 my way so that I can buy myself either an iMac or a new violin, I would be most appreciative. And every time I used whatever I spent the money on, I would sing your praises. Yes, this MacBook Pro definitely is a trooper. It works just fine for generally what I use it for, which is photo editing, video editing. Um, and other than that, it's just like surfing the web and stuff like that. But I will need to upgrade it at some point in time simply because as the computer gets older and new software comes out that is not compatible with this chipset, I won't be able to upgrade software that I need. They already have a new chipset. I think they call it M1 for the current Macs, and any software that would be made specifically for the new chipset, I will not be able to run. So my philosophy is as long as what I have works for what I need to do, there's no need for me to spend the money on something new. But when it gets to the point where I cannot do what I need to do, um, or I can't even upgrade the software to keep up so that I can do what I need to do, then it's seriously time to think of an upgrade. Matter of fact, this is the first time that I realized this computer technically is 8 years old, even though I haven't had it 8 years. I think I bought it in 2018, 2019, and I bought it only because the MacBook Pro that I did have had suddenly died, and I needed something to replace it fast because that was my only computer, and I needed it to work, the day job, as well as do my photo editing and stuff. So what I'm doing here is I'm adding a vignette just to help draw the viewer's eye to the person who's looking at this piece of artwork. Now, I can remember when I first started making photos seriously back in, I would say, 2007. And when I discovered vignetting in whatever software it was I was using at that time, I went hard and heavy on the vignetting. And a lot of us do that. You know, when we're first starting out, we use a lot of filters, and we might overdo the saturation and overdo the contrast, you know, because we're just learning, and it's stuff that we might have seen other people do and get a lot of positive feedback for. And then as you continue to do it yourself, you develop your own preferences. And you say, you know, I might want, depending on what your personal style is, you might say, hey, I want more contrast than what I normally see people using, or I want less contrast. And so over the years, I've developed my own style, and I don't go nearly as heavy on, generally, I won't change the saturation at all. I might Im- increase the vibrance if I want the colors to pop more, but most of the time, I'll leave the saturation exactly the way it is because I don't really see any need to increase it. It to my eye, it doesn't make things look as realistic, and my style of photography is really about showing the world as I see it rather than showing it in a I would say, I don't want to say more artistic because showing the world as you see it is an art in itself, but I'll say in a more of a graphic design kind of way. Um, that's not the type of art that I do. There are other people that do a wonderful job of taking ordinary photos like this one and adding, say, different colors to it, or um, changing the saturation or the contrast, you know, in ways that it looks more like graphics design than it does photography. My photography as street photography is closer to like a documentarian style. So I'm not trying to add colors or add anything at all really to the photo. I want to show what was there and show what I saw. So I don't mess around with inverting colors or things like that. From time to time, I do. Generally, those photos are just for my eyes only because I have not decided on a style for that I feel is really representative of the way I see the world. So I may, just for fun, continue to fool around with that from time to time. And then if I find a style that I feel really represents the way I see the world and I want to share that with people, then I'll start sharing those. But for the most part, with me, what you see is what you get, except for little tweaks like adding a vignette, like I just did, or increasing the exposure so you can see the details in an image more. I love doing that kind of stuff. The M1 is a beaut. My Pro has two graphic cards. One is dedicated. Oh, that's awesome. Do you have the desktop? Do you have a Mac Pro desktop computer, or do you have a MacBook Pro, the laptop? I don't think I would get a desktop computer, at least not right now. Just because I don't do anything that graphics intensive on my Mac to justify it. And even with gaming, I don't feel like I need a desktop gaming PC. For one, because I like being able to take my game with me, whether I'm in the bedroom or the living room or on a train going to visit my brother for the weekend, you know, whatever. I want to be able to take my gaming with me. So a desktop gaming computer would not be my cup of tea because I'd have to leave my gaming at home and I wouldn't want to do that. Now, if I had a dedicated room, we have a small one bedroom apartment, and if I had a dedicated apartment, a dedicated bedroom or study, then I can see buying a desktop computer where that would be my gaming space, and I'd have the gamer set up, have nice lights and stuff in the background so that when I'm on camera, then I have the nice setup and stuff. But we don't have that kind of space, and I need to be able to take my laptop to whatever room is best for me to game at and or stream at the time. So a gaming laptop is much better for me. I love this photo. I really do. Oh, let's see. We can brighten up the exposure a little bit and straighten it. It's just a tiny bit crooked. Yeah. And we need a little bit more light in the center. Now these highlights are already blown out in these windows because the sun was shining through. I could probably try to clean it up some, but it's not that important to me. Yeah, let me take those blacks back down. I want to leave it like this. What did I have my aperture set to for this shot? This was F4. Okay. Well, I was far enough away that at F4 I was still able to get the entire scene in focus. So that makes sense. Plus, it was low light. So by having my aperture wide open at F4, I didn't have to take my shutter speed down any lower than 1/20th of a second, which for hand holding a shot is very slow. Generally, you don't want to go below 1/60th of a second for hand holding a shot because then you get shake, your photos get blurred. But my lens has image stabilization, and that helps me be able to go below 1/60th of a second and still get a pretty sharp image. So that's what I was able to do here. And I like explaining these things because some people try to treat photography as though it's this magical, mystical thing that only the few extremely talented, ultra enlightened can ever grasp. I'm like, not so much. It's just like anything. You can learn just enough of the technical aspects of it to be able to get the kind of photos that you want. I've said this before and I'll keep saying it that the key to photography is learning to use whatever equipment you have within the limits of that equipment. Every piece of photographic equipment, no matter how expensive it is, has limits. And your job as the photographer is understanding what the limits of that equipment are and working within those limits. Because if you try to go outside of the limits, of course, you're not going to get the photos that you want because that particular camera simply cannot do it. But if you know that equipment's limits and you work within those limits, you'll be able to get the best shots that you can get with that equipment. That's what I think I like in black and white because to me, the colors distract from the perspective. I didn't want to do that, whatever that was. The colors distract from the perspective. I took a photography course. Oh my goodness, it had to have been over a decade ago at this point. And the teacher at the time talked about how he prefers black and white photography because, especially for storytelling, because colors very often distract from the story of the photo. And I came to really appreciate black and white photography from looking at it from his perspective. MacBook Pro, I'm a laptop girl. Yes. I like laptops. I do. I can remember back in the day when there were no laptops, and now we can take our computers with us. Oh, I am so aging myself right now. Oh, the horror. Nah, I'm not horrified at aging myself. I just turned 53 years old, for those of you who don't know. My birthday was a week ago Monday, and I enjoyed it very much. I'm kind of underwhelmed by the number, but I tend to be that way about certain numbers. Not sure why 53 just doesn't strike a chord in me, but I'm proud of my age. I, I understand that life is fragile and have experienced a number of things in the past few years that have reminded me how fragile life is. So I do my best to appreciate every day, no matter what my age is. Now, this little girl was drawing, I don't know, I don't remember if she was drawing freehand or if she was drawing something in an activity book, but she was studying this monument in front of her and doing something on her notebook that had to do with that monument in front of her. So I absolutely had to capture that scene. Okay, I want to make the vignette a bit wider. So that she's in the bright part. I can probably move it over some. And the shape, it doesn't have to be round. It doesn't have to be a rhombus. What I want is an oval, not a circle. So I don't know if I can do that. I'm just changing the transition of the vignette here. Yeah, I don't think I can change, make the shape an oval instead of a circle. So, but I can soften the vignette just a bit there. Oh, that's lovely. I love that. That I will be sharing with Team LLFA on Patreon. So if you want to see more of that, actually, this one might even go out on this month's postcard. So now that it's March, I will choose my favorite photo from February and send it on a postcard to all of my Team LLFA members who are at the $5 level and up. So when I originally started Team LLFA, people were able to join for less than $5. Now all of those positions have been filled up. So there are no more memberships available under $5. But everyone else joined at $5 and up. So everyone at that level is going to get a postcard, might even be with this photo, because I really love how this came out. I stood there for a minute or two to really understand the way the light was working in the space. I couldn't stand there too long just because, with street photography, everything is unposed. If you don't shoot quickly, you're just going to miss the shot. And I definitely did not want to do that. So I think it took about a minute and maybe a few shots for me to figure out, how the light was working in the room and how I needed to set my camera in order to get the image that I want. So that's getting tagged street photography, and that is going on Patreon. And as a matter of fact, while I'm thinking about it, I will export it to my Patreon folder and double check it. Oh, I forgot you can't see my screen. You can only see Aftershock Pro. But trust me, it came out great. If you if you want to see it full size, you're going to have to subscribe to Patreon, and you can see it there. All right, so there's that one. If you go out onto the terraces at the museum, there are beautiful views of the Hudson River and further down the George Washington Bridge. If I had a desktop, I'd probably have to leave it up in the kitchen. It would be stressful to move it back and forth. That's for sure. That's for sure. Desktop computers are not meant to move around. Yeah, that's why I prefer laptops as well. Though for my photo editing, I will be willing to sacrifice movability to get an iMac because they're just so beautiful. And the screen is so large. So I would be able to sacrifice it for that. But then I would still have this MacBook Pro as a backup just for like accessing the web and stuff like that. Or if I was traveling, as long as I can still run the software, I can edit my photos on my laptop while I'm traveling. Because, I don't know about you, but I'm not taking an iMac with me when I travel. I'm just, I know I'll love it, but ain't that much love in the world. This is just one of those great environmental shots that I love to share on my personal Instagram. Most of these photos, except for the one that I specifically tagged for Patreon, most of these are going to be shared on my personal Instagram. So if you go to Wanda Lotus Blogger on Instagram, you'll get to see these photos. Yeah, you know what? I don't think there's anything else I really want to do with this photo. I love the contrast of the dark, naked trees in the front, and then the brightly lit, almost washed out view of the Palisades across the Hudson River. So I'm going to leave it as is and move on to the next one. Do I want to share this one? Sometime what I'll usually do once I upload my photos, I will go through and I'll flag all the ones that I think I might want to edit. And then when it comes time to the actual editing, I'll go through and I won't necessarily edit and share all of them. This is one of those photos that I'm probably not going to edit and share, at least not now. I'll leave it flagged, and I won't delete it, of course, because sometimes what happens is I'll just be going through my photo archives, just for the heck of it, and I'll come across a photo that might not have grabbed me when I initially uploaded them to my computer, but on that particular day, for some reason, there's something about the photo that grabs me. So this photo does not grab me, so I'm not going to edit. I'm not going to spend the time editing it, but I will leave it flagged because at some time in the future, something about it might make me go, ooh, I want to edit that one. Now let me see, would I prefer the further back shot? Oh wait, I have two versions of the close-up. So the further back shot or the close-up. One close-up of just the leaves and one with the branch. I think, okay, when I originally made this photo, I liked the branch as a contrast to the leaves, but right now I'm really preferring just the close-up of the leaves without the branch. And this is a tough one because I really like the perspective of the wall Let me see, what will it look like if I crop it a bit so that there's not so much of this dark doorway on the right. I mean, I can't crop it too much because then I'm going to crop out more of this tree and the vines that I want. Mm, what would this look like in black and white? Oh, that's interesting. This is a very nice texture study, which would probably go great on my photography Instagram. I believe so. So here's what I'm going to do. This is ivy, so I'll tag it under my nature tag. Ivy, leaves, tree, and I am going to share this on my photography. Oh, wait, I need to also tag it as a texture study. So under studies, patterns and textures. And now I will export that to share on my photography Instagram, my fine art photography Instagram. So that one is Lotusland Fine Art. So if you go to Instagram and you search for Lotusland Fine Art, all one word, you will find, at some point, you will see this photo. Okay, that one is good. Oh, wait, let me check real quick. So let me show you. I'll show you my laptop display. So you can see what I've been talking about. So when I go to my folders, I check to see the quality that the photo got exported as. No, these are my Patreon posts. I'm looking for what's going on my Instagram. I use Hootsuite to post to my Instagram. There it is. Yes. So that it doesn't have any of the errors in it that I was mentioning on the other photo. I didn't realize that I hadn't shared my desktop, so you couldn't see what I was talking about. But there are no glitches in the exported photo. Uh-oh, what did I do? I just closed something. I don't know if it was something I wanted to close. Okay, my OBS is still running. At least there's that. Okay. Alrighty. Yeah, so that's going there. And I'm going to edit this one. I'm not going to do the one with the branch. And let me see, how do I want to do this? I don't really need, what happens if I brighten the exposure? Yeah, see, sometimes I just slide, peg a slider all the way to the side just to see what'll happen, because it's software. You can experiment like that if you want to. It took me a while to get up the courage to experiment with my photos. Back when I first started using a DSLR in 2007, I was out on a photo outing with a bunch of people, and I was admiring one of the other photographers' pictures, and I asked her, how did she get to the point where she was able to make pictures like that? And she said, you experiment. I grew up using a film camera, and the number of pictures I could take were limited to however many exposures were on that roll of film, and whether or not my parents had the money to buy me more film, and then had the money to pay to have the photos exposed. So I grew up, with this mindset of being very conservative, and that, photography wasn't really for experimentation because that was a waste of money. My family was solidly middle class, but we certainly did not have a bottomless pit of money to spend on film and photo development. So that was the mindset I had when I started shooting with the DSLR. And she reminded me most of your costs are paid up front already. You paid for the camera. Now that you have the camera, you can just experiment. And so that's what I did. So I've recently reminded myself of that so that I could start doing it in software, just to see what happens. So, like with this one, I'm just gonna play around with the curves. I like how that looks. Let's see if we can make it a little less flat, a little more contrasty, but still, yeah, there we go. I like that. Now, do I want to do the red and the green and blue? So there's another photographer that she used to make a lot of photo YouTube videos. She's switched over now to knitting, I believe. That's her primary focus on her YouTube. And she talked about this editing style where she raises up the RGB curve, makes a slight S curve in it, raises up the blue curve, and then raises up the green curve. So the blue is a little lower than the RGB curve, and the green is a little lower than the blue curve. And then you get this kind of effect on the photo. And I like that. I like that a lot. So let me copy my tags. This is not going to be a texture study though. So I'll just delete that off of the end. But I definitely want the nature tags. I don't need the tree tag because I'm not showing the tree. Just showing the ivy and the leaves. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more and then I'm going to call it a night because it is nearly midnight here. I'm in New York City and it is 11:49 p.m. and I have been at this for an hour and 15 minutes. So this is around the time where I do start to feel uh oh wow, I've been streaming a long time. So I am honoring my limits. Oh, let's make this full screen. Yes, there we go. Okay. I want this black and white. Do I want it black and white? No, actually, I don't. Actually, I don't. Because it's monochromatic enough, even in color, except for this little tiny corner in the upper left hand side of the roof where there's reddish shingles. The photo is monochromatic enough, even in color, and I prefer it in color. So I will leave it in color. And actually, I do not have to do anything else with this. I love it just the way it is. I'm an hour ahead. It's almost 1 a.m. your time. Are you going to actually sleep tonight, ma'am? Have you been getting enough rest lately? Because I seem to remember, at least at one point, oh, you're watching Saturday Night Live. I seem to remember at some point you were doing bad about going to sleep. Though you were also doing it, you went through a period where you got up pretty early in the morning on a regular basis. So, not sure where your schedule is now, but as long as you're taking care of yourself, I don't have to get on Cacao Talk and preach a sermon to you. Do I want this one in black and white? I mean, hmm. I think it's more interesting in, okay. I was going to say it's more interesting in color, but that's actually not true. It depends on what you're looking for. So, in color, there's a beautiful contrast between the bark of the tree and the green of the leaves behind it. In black and white, now you can really see the texture. And there's a beautiful contrast between the texture of the tree and the texture of the leaves behind it. So I don't know. They're both lovely. So here's what I do in a situation like this. I am going to disable black and white, and I am going to create a new version from this one. This version will be color, the new version will be black and white, and I will export both of them. And then when it comes time to share, I'll probably post it on Instagram and post both of them just cuz I can. All right. This is one that's going to be black and white. Does it have a different? It does have a different name. Okay, good. So then I will put both of them. Tag both of them blue. That way I know that they're going on my personal, on my blog Instagram. And oh, I need to make sure they both have the keywords that I want. There's that one. And then the black and white one. There we go. Okay. Oh, now this is an interesting one. This was really a perspective shot of shooting between the trees to get the view of this Stations of the Cross on the other side of the courtyard. This one I think I'm going to put in my Instagram stories, just because the dimensions are perfect for Instagram stories. I don't know. How does this look in black and white? Oh, it looks great in black and white. All right, let's bump up the exposure, make it a little bit brighter. This one is probably going to go on my fine art photography Instagram just because of the dimensions. I've noticed ever since I started sharing a lot on Instagram, I don't often shoot photos from this perspective. Um, yeah, 3x4. I usually portrait. I don't usually shoot portrait. I usually shoot landscape, which is 4x3. But every once in a while, I'll shoot portrait, and most of the time, I'll just share them on my Instagram stories. So let's export this to my fine art photography Instagram stories, and let me check and make sure. And it did it. I love how that looks. I really do. I might end up sharing this on my photography blog as well. Let me copy and paste that to my blog. Okay. Oh wow, it just got 3 more photos. All right, this was in one of the galleries. When I go to museums, I like to photograph people interacting with the art, not just the art by itself. It adds dimension to the shot, so you're not just looking at a photo of a piece of art. And don't get me wrong, a photo of a piece of art can be very interesting in and of itself, But since I am a street photographer and my interest primarily is photographing people interacting with the world around them, in an unposed fashion, these kinds of photos are very interesting to me. So I'm going to crop it just a bit so there's less empty space. Empty space is good, but it's a balance between uh, too much empty space, not enough empty space, just enough empty space. Also, cropping out the lights at the very top that are closest to the forefront because your eye is naturally drawn to the brightest and darkest parts of an image. So, by cropping those out, it keeps your eye from being drawn just to that. Okay, I'm having a hard time getting this straight. Okay, that's good. That's going to be good enough. There's naturally distortion in camera lenses. The higher quality the lens, less distortion, of course, but every lens is going to have distortion. And the distortion is what makes it difficult sometimes to get the photo to look perfectly straight. Because if you can see the glass case closest in the forefront, it looks kind of crooked. Where the further back you go, because of the perspective, everything looks straighter. It's a balancing act. Nothing's going to be perfect. So I do the best that I can. And in all honesty, most folk who look at the photo are not going to be nitpicky and say, "Oh my God, I can see this is crooked and this part is not straight enough." And if they are saying that, then they're not my audience, and that's perfectly okay. If they can't enjoy the photo. All right, where am I? There I am. Boom, there. There you go. I can stop making you dizzy with uh, all these views way into, like looking into a funhouse mirror. All right, so that's going on my personal Instagram. And then we can move to the next one. I think when I first went to the Met Cloisters, I made a lot of photos just of the artwork by itself. And over the years, I've moved on from that to making photos of people interacting with the art. But from time to time, I will see a piece of artwork that to me will just demand that I make a photo of it. And this vase is one of them. I should have photographed the placard in the front to remind myself where this was from, what it signifies. I didn't do any of that. I was so enthralled with this piece that I just wanted a photo of it. But I'm not sorry because I it's just lovely. I've never seen anything like this before. The next time I go, if I remember, I'll have to find this piece, if it's still on display. Hopefully it still is. I'll have to find this piece again and get the information about it because it's just, I love the details in it. And last but not least, I think this one I already shared. I remember sharing this one. This is a Jewish, oh, how do you pronounce that? So this book is, I do remember, it's specifically meant, stop that. It's specifically meant to be on the table for, is it Shabbat or the Passover? It's the Passover. So it's supposed to be on the table as part of the Passover celebration. And it is very old, like around 1300 CA. I love old books. I love books in general, but I love old books. The idea that there are books that were actually handwritten on paper that still exist today, almost 2,000 years later, is just incredible to me. So, of course, when I saw this book, I had to photograph it. And I have a number of friends who are Jewish, and I knew that they would appreciate a photo of this. So, I made that photo and I shared it on my Facebook. I think I shared it on my Instagram too, but I shared it on my Facebook specifically for them. So let's see now. I went through and edited everything I wanted to edit. I've already shared the first two rows of photos. So everything after that, I still have not exported. So let me change the filter. I want to see everything going to my personal Instagram. So starting from here down to the bottom, these are going to blog Instagram feed. So I do have a personal blog, but I don't share my photos on it often. I primarily use that for writing. And I primarily save my photos for Instagram. There are exceptions, of course. Are there not always? Okay, what are you stuck on? I started with this one. This was the next one. Oh, you're not stuck. You're just very slow because of everything that's going on, which I don't blame you. All right, so while that's doing its thing, I shared these and these two. Let's see, that one's going to my Patreon. This one is going to. I think this one is, I'm going to share it to my fine art photography Instagram because I tagged that as a texture study. Pesach Haggadah. Oh, is that how you pronounce that book? Thank you. Just ordered my matzah for Passover. Ooh. Are you going to do a Passover stream, or is streaming not something that you would do for Passover? Because I believe that there's certain rules for things that you can and cannot do during that period of time. Oh yeah, I was checking to see if I had already exported that one photo. Yes, I did. Okay. All right, so I don't have to export it again. Just want to make sure that when I exported it, it exported without glitches, and it did. Marvelous. Okay. Oh, wait, I need to double check it, don't I? All right, here we go again. um, so I'm checking this to make sure that there are no glitches in that. Marvelous. And now I'm going to go to my blog Instagram. Sweet. Oh my goodness, I've got a lot of photos in here. And see that and it looks like they all did. These all exported without glitches. Great. So now I can get to scheduling some Instagram posts. Alrighty. So that is that. I could edit more photos, but my butt's sore. I've been sitting for a long time on this hard chair. I'm not at my normal streaming spot, so I am in the back sitting in a chair that is definitely not my gaming chair, and my tailbones are telling me about the fact that I am not sitting in my gaming chair. So I need to honor my tailbones and get out of this chair. It was fun to do this again. It has been I'm sure it's been over a year since I've streamed on this channel, and I'm so glad that I did it. People can, but I won't. Oh, okay, cool. I don't discuss religion. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. They say that two of the things that you don't discuss in polite company are religion and politics. You do, however, discuss some politics, but we won't get into that. Okay, well, I am going to call it a night. And that doesn't mean I'll be going to bed because they make you. Okay, yes, I see them holding guns to your head, Serena, and forcing you to discuss politics in your kitchen. I have been there when this happens, so believe me, you have my sympathy. Let me see if there's anyone that I want to raid. I don't even know who's on. Hang on. Where is my phone? It's around here somewhere. See, this is what happens when you're not in your usual space. Oh, there it is. I kicked my phone under a pillow. Serena, thank you so much for stopping in, and everyone else who stopped in and who lurked. And it was just wonderful to share my photo editing process with you. Let me see. Let me see. No, there's nobody on that I would like to raid. So I'm just going to call it a night. You take care, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.